Hola estudiantes. Otro screencast lleno de acción. That's right. Another time for another screencast. So here we go. Capítulo 6, gramática 2. Object pronouns, los pronombres de objetos. It is my least favorite thing to teach to beginning level Spanish because it's a very intricate detail. Doesn't always translate perfectly back to English, and it's a grammatical function. We use it all the time in English. Every language uses object pronouns all the time, but it's not really something that you ever think about, so it's kind of tough. It's not really a fun grammar section, but it's something that's really necessary, and you'll see them a lot in sentences going forward, and we've already done a lot of work this year making our sentences more complex and more detailed, and this is just another way that we're going to do that. So object pronouns is what we're going to study. Let's take a look at what the book wants us to know, and they actually do a pretty good job of explaining it. Me, te, and nos. We've already seen these. Well, we haven't seen nos. This is the first time we'll see nos, but we've seen me and te throughout the last two chapters. So the expressions me gusta, te interesa, te aburre, if you remember, those were special verbs that kind of go backwards. So me gusta means it is pleasing to me. Te interesa, it is interesting to you. Te aburre, it is boring to you. Or it bores you, it interests you, it pleases you, right? It's kind of backwards. Well, there's a new one here, and it's nos. There it is, nos. No nos aburre el curso. The course is not boring to us. Nos means to us. It is not an abbreviation for nosotros. There's no period there. They are not interchangeable. Nos is an object pronoun. Nosotros is a subject pronoun. Not that you really have to care what that means. Just know that they are not the same thing. Nosotros means we, and nos means us. It corresponds to nosotros, it's telling you here at the end. It corresponds to nosotros. But it is not nosotros, okay? Nos gusta. Well, if me gusta means I like it, or it's pleasing to me, nos gusta means we like it, or it is pleasing to us. There's the correct translation. Nos is to us. Nos interesa bastante. It is quite interesting to us. So nos means to us. Me, te, and nos are object pronouns. They can be used as either direct or indirect objects. I used to spend a lot of time with my classes trying to teach and figure out what is a direct object, what is an indirect object. I don't really like to do that anymore because it's really not important. It's only important that you use these correctly in the context and in a sentence, and you know how to use them. Identifying what a direct or indirect object is kind of like I said, it's kind of like a grammatical thing, and nobody's ever going to ask you to identify the direct object of a sentence. So if you're confused by some of the grammar jargon in this chapter, don't be too worried about it. Just take a look at the examples and make sure you know how to use it. This part, however, in number 2, is correct. It says, note that unlike in English, you put the object pronoun right before the verb. That is hugely important. That's where a lot of your mistakes are going to come from in this chapter. So let's look at these examples they give us. El médico me ve. Well, ve means sees. But look at where the me. So me means me. El médico me ve means the doctor sees me. And then me examina. He examines me. We move down. Te habla el médico. That says, is the doctor talking to you? So the whole thing's backwards. You see how the te, the to you, is the first part of the sentence in Spanish. That's not a mistake. That's how it goes. It always goes right before the verb. That's backwards from English. That causes all sorts of problems. The way we answer that question, si me habla. That means, yes, he speaks to me. Again, the to me comes before the verb. El médico nos examina y nos da una receta. He examines us and he gives us a prescription. He gives a prescription to us. So in that last sentence, nos is being used in the first part as a direct object, and in the second part as an indirect object. For those of you who understand what that means, congratulations, and you can make that connection back to English. If you don't understand that, it doesn't matter. El médico nos examina, he examines us. Nos da una receta, he gives us a prescription. All the pieces are there, it's just the order's a little bit messed up compared to English. The other two pronouns in this chapter, le and les. These are indirect object pronouns only. Again, if you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter. It says that means they are the indirect receivers of the action of the verb. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. They answer the question to whom or for whom. Maybe that will help you a little bit more though. La médica, the doctor, le da una receta, gives a prescription. In this case, we don't really know what le means. We'll talk about that in 1 second. But gives it to him or to her. Gives a prescription to him or to her. La médica les habla, speaks to them. So le and les is the third person indirect object pronoun. So le and les. Let's actually see what the book tells us that they can mean. And you don't have to memorize this chart or anything, but this is just to show you that when it says el profesor le habla, it's very common to put another phrase after it. Now, if you translate it back to English, it's going to seem redundant. El profesor le habla al muchacho. That says the teacher talks to him, to the boy. So in English, when you translate it word for word, it's not going to make any sense, but you're going to see le and les all over the place in real, actual Spanish sentences when they're not trying to hold back on the grammar so as to not confuse you. If you're really speaking Spanish, you're going to hear these le and les all over the place, and that's why they do this. El profesor le habla al muchacho tells us that he's talking to the boy. If we just say el profesor le habla, if it's out of context, we're not going to know who the teacher's talking to, because it could be to the girl or to the boy that he's talking to. El profesor les explica la lección, and then it says a los alumnos or a las alumnas. Explains the lesson to them, and then it gets more specific by telling us the boys and girls or just the female students, a las alumnas. Le hablo means I'm speaking, but it could mean three things. It could be to him, to her, or to you, sir, or you, ma'am. Le hablo, I'm talking to you, sir. Le hablo a usted. Le hablo a él, I'm talking to him. Le hablo a ella, I'm talking to her. So when you translate it word for word, again, it's not really going to make a ton of sense. It's going to say, I speak to him, and I speak to her, to her. Le hablo a ella means I speak to her. But they do it all the time in Spanish, and that's why they're teaching you this. Like I said, this isn't the most fun grammar concept to learn. Not a ton you can do with this, but we have to know them because you're going to see them all over the place. Les hablo, same thing. Les hablo, I'm talking to them. And then they usually are going to put les hablo a ellos. I'm talking to them, right? It's double in English, so it doesn't always make sense. Let's move on to the notes. Muy bien, here are your notes. And excuse my zooming in and jumping around. This app isn't nearly as easy to use as Notability. But here are the object pronouns. Me, we talked about it meaning me or to me. So to save space, we're going to write it that way. It always means me, but sometimes it can mean to me, whether it's a direct or indirect object pronoun. For te, it's going to be to you or just you. Now le, we're going to skip for a second. Le and les we'll skip. We'll go over here to nos. Nos means to us or just us. I threw os in there because that's a Spain thing, and well, if you can use these correctly, you can use os correctly as well, but you're only going to hear that in Spain. Now, le and les can only be indirect object pronouns. So, le can be to him, to her, or to you, sir or ma'am. You, sir or ma'am. Because it can be to you formal. And then les can be to them or to you all, to you guys. Okay? So that's the first part of the notes, and now we just have some other information that we'll take a look at here. The pronouns are used with the special verbs aburrir, to bore, me aburre, te aburre, interesar, te interesa, me interesa, me interesan, le interesa, nos interesa, you get it. Gustar, me gusta, nos gusta, fascinar is another one, to fascinate, me fascina, it fascinates me. Doler, to hurt, me duele, le duele, etc. Okay? But they can also be used with almost every verb. You just have to be careful how you use them. So here we go. El médico me da una receta. The doctor gives, sorry about that, me, there's your object pronoun. So I have to skip over here. A prescription. Now, over time, English language has changed to accommodate that. We can do it in that order, but it used to be more like Spanish, where it would say the doctor gives a prescription to me, but gives me a prescription, right? That's how we say it in English, and that's the object pronoun, me, and it gives me. Señor Vangel nos habla en español. Mr. Vangel speaks to us. There's your object pronoun in Spanish. Right? He speaks to us, and there's your object pronoun. There's the to us. There's the nos. Right? Nos habla en español. Remember, in Spanish it goes before. In English it goes after. You couldn't ever say Mr. Vangel to us speaks in Spanish. You can't say that, but that's what it looks like in Spanish. And la madre de María le compra una pizza. And I hope this one helps you a little bit more, understand it a little bit better. So Maria's mother, there's the apostrophe S that we can't do in Spanish. The mother of Maria, we say Maria's mother, le compra una pizza. It says Maria's mom, oh boy. Maria's mom buys her a pizza. And really what it should say is the proper order, but nobody really says it this way. Buys a pizza for her. Alright, because indirect objects are answering to or for whom. So let's zoom out on these notes so you can see. A little bit over zoomed. There we go. Maria's mom buys her a pizza and buys a pizza for her. They mean the same thing. So that's what I mean. It's kind of a pain to teach. It's not the most fun thing in the world, but it's super important for Spanish. La madre de María le compra una pizza. Buys her a pizza. Right? You're going to see the le and the lace all over the place in particular. You see these object pronouns. Every language uses them. Okay, that's it. Until next time, hasta luego.